Bryce, what are some of the challenges associated with the future of the future workforce of the construction industry in New Zealand? The youngins coming into
Yeah.
taking on leadership roles.
Yeah, taking on leadership roles. Well, I think it's fair to say that when I entered the construction industry 30 years ago, one could take on more than one role within a construction project. Okay, and I'm talking from the delivery side. Okay, there is the commercial side, which I'll touch on in a moment. But but today you can't. You have to be you have to have a series or a number of people to do a number of different roles, and so the construction industry at the level we're at is becoming more and more specialised. And there's a lot less ability to, if you like, spread the butter across a number of roles. And so what that means for us as a commercial construction company is that to attract people, firstly, I would say when I first entered the workforce, it was up to me to impress the company so that...
you could get a job.
I could get a job. Today, the company has to impress the employee. And there's a lot of issues that we're having to deal with today around mental and physical well-being, being inclusive, diversity. You have to allow your workforce to grow. And in my position as managing director, I my mantle is to empower the people around me to the point that I become redundant.
100%.
Because then I've done my job.
Yep.
And the team will carry on.
Yeah.
Okay. So empowerment is definitely something that the future workforce want to see in a company.
Yep.
They want to see inclusivity. They want to take on the responsibility of doing the role. Continuous training.
Yeah. Interesting enough, all through my career, I've actually done that. So every time I've gotten into a role, the company's never had to impress me. I've always been the one trying to get the work. But never mind. That aside, I've always gone, how do I make myself redundant? Because if I can make myself redundant, one or two things happen, right? And the company doesn't really get rid of me. They can't get rid of me because, one, I've been quite valuable. Two, now the company's got a problem and they've got to figure out what to do with me.
I don't think you have a problem there, Andy. But no, at the end of the day...
But you understand what I mean, though?
Yes.
So every full-time position that I've had, I've gone, how do I make myself redundant? And that's the easiest way for me to get promoted.
Correct.
That's the easiest way.
That's what I always say to certainly our management sort of level employees. Make yourself indispensable.
Or redundant. Completely redundant.
Empower the people around you to do their jobs to their best ability, and you will actually complete your job to the best of your ability. The real issue, or one of the real issues that the future workforce in the construction industry faces is the increase in compliancy around health and safety, quality management, etc. Once again, as I was saying previously, it wasn't until the turn of the century that we really did have an effective health and safety
guideline.
No, I was going to. What's the word for it? It's laws, health and safety.
Regulations.
Regulations. That's the word for it. Damn it.
Yep.
Effective health and safety regulations.
Right.
And
how long ago was that? When did that come into effect in New Zealand?
Oh, it was in the...
Give or take?
I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s.
Shit, that late. Wow.
And...
So what... Sorry, can I just delve into that a little bit? Did we have no regulations before that?
We had very, very little regulations before that.
So what you're telling me is I could walk onto site without a hard hat back in the day?
Correct.
Yeah?
Health and safety was certainly taking a second place, and today it's up there in first place.
Oh, I reckon it should be there. Otherwise, we'd become another Dubai, wouldn't we?
Well, New Zealand's record in health and safety in construction is pretty poor, to be quite honest.
It's pretty
Poor.
poor. I thought it was up there.
No, look at the statistics. The number of people that die in the construction industry.
That is because of mental health issues, though, isn't it? That's a contributing factor. There are multiple contributing factors. I'm not trying to attribute it to one.
But that's when I started in the industry, there wasn't anything like mates in construction. Well-being probably wasn't even a word that people knew what the meaning was.
Right.
Physical well-being as well, etc., etc. And we do spend a lot of energy in ensuring that our workforce are happy.
Isn't that important though?
Very important. Yeah, very important.
Yep.
Whereas,
but back in the day, you would have said, "Hey, man, pop a concrete pill."
Correct.
Can't say that today.
No, you can't. Although I do quite often, but you can't. On the odd occasion, you've got to pull that one out, Andy.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You know, I've told myself that a few times as well, and I'm like, but it is important. Like COVID's now changed everything for us, the way we work. You know, I want to work from home. I don't want to get stuck in traffic. You know, I do want to focus on my physical self. You know, I want to look fit. I don't want to be in 5 years be an old Indian uncle sitting on this podcast with a pot belly and bald hair running this podcast. That'll be the worst than ever. You know what I mean? But yeah, and being happy is quite important. And yeah, the world has changed as we know it. And construction companies do have to adopt to that in a way. But there's a cost associated with it, isn't there?
At the end of the day, we have adapted. We have a number of employees that have family commitments and need to pick up the kids from school. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, 100%.
No problem. We ask them to complete their job in a certain number of hours, and if they, we leave it to them to manage that, and we found that really quite successful because once again, people aren't getting stressed about the fact, oh my God, I've got to pick up the kids. Do they know I'm leaving early, etc., etc., etc. No, it's out in the open. That's certainly a big mental health and physical well-being issue. Is allowing people to have a good work-life balance. Very, very important at McCreaney's. We about 10 years ago, we had a key site manager that had been with us over 20 years resign after a project.
Right.
And so we sat down and sort of said to him, well, why? And he said, it's just too much stress. And we looked back at his timesheets on that project, and he was doing over 60 hours a week, and he was struggling, but didn't communicate that as well as we would hope. But we didn't recognise it either.
Right.
And so going forward, we put in place a limit on the number of hours that people can work on a site.
Good on you.
And then what happens is those limits start getting exceeded. And so what we have to do then is we have to bring additional staff in to ensure that those hours are kept to not a minimum, but enough to get the job done and for people to have a good work-life balance because part of the issue is that we all stress about things that don't get done. So you've got to manage that situation as well, where people will leave the work site thinking all night, oh my God, I've got to do this tomorrow, I've got to do that tomorrow. Yep. But I can't work till 7 o'clock tonight to do that because I'm not allowed to. So you've got to manage that as well.
That's the flip side to it, isn't it?
That's the flip side to it, yeah.
Yep. So a lot of construction sites I go on, I see the stress levels. I can feel the stress levels. They're up there. They're like literally up there. But I've worked in the oil and gas industry, in the iron and steel manufacturing, baggage handling systems. I've worked in different industries. I've never seen any other industry carry as much stress as the construction industry.
Well, that's interesting to know because I always thought it was stressful, but I didn't realise it was probably up as high as you've mentioned.
Mate, literally, iron and steel manufacturing, oil and gas is a lot easier than construction. Okay. It takes a special kind of person to do what you and I do.
Well, but it's a great industry to work in.
Absolutely, I'm not saying it's not. I mean, that's
No.
why I've stuck around. I've started a company in the industry because I've actually seen an opportunity. It's a great industry to work in, but I strongly believe we can do better.
I do too. It's and that's as I said earlier. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be prepared to take change and move with the times.
Yeah.
Move with the times. But as I said before, it is a great industry to work in. The number of times I've woken up at 3 a.m. saying, "Oh my God, I've got this to do tomorrow, that to do tomorrow," and do what the psychiatrists tell you. Write the notes down on the piece of paper so you can go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then by 9 o'clock, all my issues that I had are gone.
Right.
The people in the industry have come together as a team, and we've all worked together, solved the problem, and moved on.
Yeah.
And so that is the flip side of working in a really good industry. As long as you've got good people around you, okay, they're well trained, they're empowered, they're independent, you'll solve any problem you've got.
That's it. There you go. People are the key to
Most certainly.
absolutely most of the problems.
I mean, I would imagine most commercial construction company managing directors would agree with me when they say their most valuable asset are their people.
Yep, I'd absolutely agree with you there.